Hello, Jake Like here, gaming lawyer at your service. We're back again with Great Ace Attorney. Yep. So we're gonna talk to what was his name again? Her Herlock Herlock Sholmes. Oh yeah, Herlock Sholmes. Let's talk to him then. See what he has to tell us. How great of a detective he is. So you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what was your name again? Okay. Indeed. I am none other than the one and only Herlock Sholmes. Oh, I see. You're German? Herlock, was it? No, no, I have no her. I mean, I have hair. But please, call me Sholmes. You can read all about my exploits in this exciting London publication. Oh, yes, Rand's magazine, full of wonderful short stories and interest articles from Great Britain. I never miss an issue. I have sent it from England, especially. Yes, here it is The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes. So, you're the protagonist in a series of short stories, then? Indeed, I am. And you've read so many of your own stories, you've started to think you really are a detective. Make no mistake, I'm not the poor, deluded fellow you take me for. Your inference is backward. Backward? My trusty biographer records my greatest detecting achievements and chronicles them in my magazine. You have a biographer, do you? Doesn't everyone? Mine goes by the name of Dr. Wilson, presently keeping shop in London. Dr. Wilson? I must say, thanks to that publication, I've been fantastically busy of late. Why, this very moment I am returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of a cursed royal crown. Really, I can't really work out whether I could take this man seriously or not. Deduction, you see, is to me a science, logical reasoning in its purest form. A science? Really? The astute observer notices even the most subtle of reactions in his subject. A furtive glance, a twitch of a muscle, a slight inclination of the posture. Fingernails, arm sleeves, furrows in the skin. All these things are data. Right. And a trained logician makes deductions from his data in the blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is, without fail, the truth. As I demonstrated only a few short moments ago. How can he look me in the eye and claim that? So you see, I have turned both for observation and for deduction, and fame. That is what makes me the only one and only her, oh no, Herlock Sholmes. All right, man, whatever you say. Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet? Have I managed to deduce anything, my dear fellow? Who do you suppose discovered the culprit in the most cunning hiding place? That's right. It was none other than the great detective before you now, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Ah, I see. In other words, I'm in this now because of him. When I became anxious about Kazuma-sama this morning, I summoned all of the crew members to force the cabin door open. And I concealed myself among their numbers, gaining entry to the scene of the crime. Yes, luckily for everyone, the great detective, Herlock Sholmes, was on board. And then the handcuffs seem to be excellent fit, Mr. Naruto. Ah, the very moment I laid eyes on The very moment I laid eyes on that scene, two facts were immediately apparent to me. Oh, really? Two facts, you say? Two facts. Mr. Sholmes, tell us, please. We are so excited. What two facts were you apparent to you when you came into this cabin this morning? Ah, yes. But first, let us be precise. The two facts in question were immediately apparent to me. Yes, yes, I understand, but what are they? What were they? Allow me to elucidate. Is that a word? The two facts that I deduced from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows. Number one, the cabin was locked from the within, rendering escape of the culprit out of the question. Number two, the victim was Russian and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance. Hold on, Mr. Jones. What made you think the victim was Russian? Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor. But the thing is, okay, all right. Now I have a different hunch now. Obviously, what's that word? All right, never mind. That is the Russian word for wardrobe. Do you really think Kazuma-sama could have left a dying message in Russian? In their final moments, many find their native tongue filling their head. For this young man, Russian. Kazuma was Russian? Was he? Initially, I considered Kadyrov, but maybe the name of the killer, a certain Robert Guard, perhaps. But in the interest of thoroughness, I decided it would be wrong not to look inside the wardrobe there, at least. Where you found Mr. Naruto sleeping soundly. Quite so, I found you, the renowned Russian revolutionary killer. Why is it I'm the Russian too? I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. And if my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people. Our school uniforms the traditional dress of the Russian people? I had no idea. And I had no idea a detective could get something so wrong. I took a photograph of the victim and the message, that I might analyze it for possible hidden details. Oh no, Kazuma. This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered. Oh, sorry, this was Sholmes. This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered, before the body was removed. Yes, Kazuma had already been taken away when I woke up. This is the first time I've actually seen him like this. Are you alright, Mr. Naruto? Oh, yes. Thank you. The photograph for the camera scene has been entered to the court record. Can I ask you something, Mr. Sholmes? What pray? You mentioned Russia before as well, didn't you? You know, when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all of that. Ah, yes, the train of reasoning that led me to the truth. Would you mind explaining that train of reasoning to me, do you think? Look, certainly if it interests you. How many times? I'm not Russian and I don't speak Russian. Yeah, deduction just now. Can we talk about your deduction before? The things you concluded about me, I mean. Ah, now the famous accurate, troubling predicament you find yourself in. Actually, it was the other details that I was more hoping to discuss. You know, the merciless Russian revolutionary and assassin of his 16 part. Ah, yes, the more sordid details. It was fairly commonplace deduction. Here we have this morning's paper. The main headline reads, Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russian via Shanghai. Oh, Shanghai. This vessel made a court poll. This This vessel made a port call at Shanghai yesterday, and last night a young Russian was murdered. Since when was Kazuma Russian? It sounds like Mr. Sholmes has concluded she was Russian because of what Kazuma-san wrote on the floor. It was a simple act of reasoning to realize that the culprit of this crime was the same merciless, this is mouthful, merciless revolutionary. One would kill the very man who would help him to escape after his true identity was discovered. Yes, you, villain Bolshevik. No, how could it be me? It doesn't look anything like this man. I don't look anything like this man. Just look at his face. Well, you are a fearsome revolutionary after all. Therefore, you have no doubt learned to revolutionize your appearance as well. Ugh, please. And I might add, your name does not appear on the ship's passenger list. Need I not say more? Well, that's because I'm a stowaway. What about the other details? The 16 victims of assassination and blowing up the Crystal Tower. Ah, yes, the journalist clearly interviewed the man and printed all those particulars in the article. The deeds that men have perpetrated thus far and those he is plotting. Yes, everything about his revolutionary Bolshevik was included. There can be no mistake. Do revolutionaries usually agree to interviews with newspaper reporters, I wonder? And what about the part where you said I was just returning from Afghanistan? Also quite clearly stated here in this article. Bolshevik is recently returned after a period of subversive activities in a war-torn region of Afghanistan. Where even is it anyway? This Afghanistan place. Here, take the paper for yourself as a little memento of this great deduction. Thank you. I've absorbed all that is of interest to me within these pages, but I see no rubbish bin nearby. The article of the original has been entered into the court record. Out the front page of it, the headline with it, blah, 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 blah. All right. And you may find the article on the back page. And you might find the article on the back page of interest as well. I'm getting tired of speaking as Sholmes. On the back, cast your eye over it sometime if the interest takes you, though you may need someone to interpret. It's all written in Russian. I couldn't hope to read it. But I suppose it wouldn't hurt just to glance at it at the article. Maybe there might be a picture or two. Let me see. Let me see. Who is this? The murderer? This is interesting. Have you found something relevant, Naruto-san? Well, no. I mean, it looks like it might be interesting. I can't read a single word, I'm afraid. No, nor can I. But look at this picture. Perhaps it's about a beautiful young Russian princess. Do you think? She is very pretty, isn't she? I suppose you enjoy articles like this, do you? I don't know. I can't make any sense of it. Ah, I'm glad you've noticed this article. Allow me to give you a short summary of its contents. Oh, thank you. It pops up everywhere, this Mr. Sholmes. It's about the disappearance of a young lady last night. Renowned prima ballerina of the Norwich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. During a performance in Shanghai, the famous dancer was reported missing. She is, of course, the talented young Nikolina Pavlova. Why are Russian names so hard to remember? It would appear the woman was in costume when she found to be missing from her dressing room. wearing the diamond tiara you see pictured, which is worth some 20,000 rubles. Wait a minute. Alright, never mind. Oh, how much is 20,000 rubles? I have no idea, but I'm quite sure it must be unbelievable sum of money. Susato-san's eyes are shining like diamonds themselves. The tiara is the property of the Novovich Ballet. It would seem the director is beside herself with worry. Yes, I'm not surprised. The company is most anxious to recover both Miss Pavlova and the valuable tiara. They've requested international assistance at all ports with sailing to Great Britain. Could this be another case of Russian fleeing his or her country? It does seem to be the Russian thing to do. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, Mr. Naruto. Alright, the back page. Cool. I guess that's that. And what about the picture? Anything special about the picture? I can't tell. Alright. What were you investigating? Before we start talking, you were examining Kazuma's desk, haven't you? Kazuma? Ah, yes, the victim. Did you notice anything useful? Anything at all? Observe, for a moment, the desktop of the victim. We see that the victim was engaged in penning some text. London diary. Kazuma was keeping notes of the trip. Ah, but I don't think you should read his private writings. It could upset people. Tragic. And something you ought to perhaps elucidate before you the act of reading. You mean you've read it already? It is my business to know what other people do not. Yes, believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japanese. Oh, I see. Well, you're about to know what a Susato takedown is. Susato-san, aren't you going to throw the detective with one of their trademark takedowns? I'm sorry, Naruto-san. What on earth do you mean? Life is so unfair. Word. Anyway, to return to the matter at hand, namely this diary belonging to the victim. It will appear the final sentence is incomplete, as if the author were cut short. Tell me, what is the nature of the writing? Pray be precise as to details. Oh, but I thought you knew Japanese. A smattering, dear boy, a smattering. Sayonara bonsai mikado. Nado nado. I trust you are suitably impressed. Ha! But this diary is littered with complicated-looking characters, of which I can read precisely none. Okay. So what was all that showing off about before then? If you'd be so kind as to show me, I would be happy to read it to you, Mr. Sholmes. I'm much obliged, my dear madam. The final entry here in Kazuma-sama's diary consists of just two short sentences. The first reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. A whistling sound? These are very deep waters. Pray, go on. The second sentence reads, 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator's grill. A speckled band? What on earth does that mean? Who could have known from the opening scene of this adventure? I have no idea. I've never heard that expression before. The ventilator grill, you see, you say? The man was presumably referring Whack. To the lattice there on the wall, which connects to the adjoining cabin. Yes, the adjoining cabin. Enter to the court. Record. Eridan Herlock Sholmes. So, I believe I've given you enough to consider for the time being at least. Ah, do you have somewhere to go? As it happens, the victim's writings in his diary have piqued my interest. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe, and if I am still too long, the sickness takes hold. Oh, I suppose you're thinking of investigating the cabin next door, which the ventilator connects to. Great detectives are a curious breed. Our minds rebel at stagnation. We crave mental exaltation. So yes, I intend to investigate. Hence the truth will become clear soon enough. Do you think perhaps that we could go with you? No, that would be somewhat complicated. What? But why? A simple glance at your wrist should reveal the answer. Oh, this. After all, you're the prime suspect in this matter, no? There's no point trying to turn it into a question. You're the one who decided I was the culprit in the first place. Whatever you mean. I have no recollection of naming you as a culprit at any point. What? You must be joking. You just said it only a moment ago. Dear me, you clearly misguided. You are clearly misguided. I would have no cause to say such a thing. Well, actually, Mr. Sholmes, I did hear you say that too. You're quite sure? Well, that's very strange. I wouldn't have said you had the face of a criminal, you know. No, really. So what? Were you looking at me at my knees before? Some great detective you are. Well, anyway, then was then, and this is now, and that and that in tit in tot. What do you mean? What I mean, sir, is this. If you are the culprit, then you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over and accept your fate. Now he's just being plain rude. And he just left. And off he goes, having just laughed in my face. His sense of humor has twisted at his name. Now, Roto-san, what are you standing there before? We must go and investigate the cabin next door as well. Aren't you forgetting something? What about this? There's no way I can... Hiya! After Kazuma-san spent his dying moments struggling to leave us crew, you're willing to give up. You're just going to roll over and accept your fate? Ugh, as if you give me any choice in the rolling over part. And you get it, getting up. I think we still have some investigation to finish off in here first, don't we? Let's carry on examining what we can in this cabin while we wait for a chance to sleep next door. Good idea. The situation doesn't look good for me, but there are still things I can do to help myself. And I owe it to Kazuma to do everything I can to find a way out of this and bring the culprit to justice. Right, let's more examine this. What do you think this is? It looks like a broken piece of glassware. Whatever the thing was, it appears to have broken clean in two. The glass is such a beautiful color. It looks like a cute little netsuke fastener from a kimono fit. I'm not sure that sounds like Kazuma. He wouldn't have secretly carried a cute little trinket like this around with him, would he? And the mark beside it. What is it, I wonder? It's sort of a brick-like hue. Yes, you're right. It's the color of a brick, isn't it? Even though I don't see anything of the same color anyway else in this cabin. What about this? That's my dinner from last night. A roasted chicken. Wait, oops. That's my dinner. Roasted chicken. It was really tasty. Yes, it was very tasty. Well, delicious, wasn't it? But did you eat it on the floor here? I'm not a dog, said Sato-san. I ate at the table, of course. Which begs the question of when and how the plate ended up on the floor. But Kazuma-sama didn't like chicken at all, didn't he? No, that's right. So he didn't touch it. Which meant all the more for me. Yum, yum, yum. Oh no, does that mean poor Kazuma-sama spent his last night on his earth with an empty belly? It's just too horrible. Ugh, now I suddenly feel guilty conscience and an achy stomach. Alright, there's that. What about the table? There's nothing on this table at all. The plate and cutlery are all over the floor for some reason. Yes, it's strange. Last night when I went to sleep, surely everything was still. No, wait a minute. Why is it? That's funny. I can't seem to remember anything about what happened after dinner at all. Food was drugged. So then perhaps you are responsible for what happened to Kazuma-sama. No, 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 no. Okay. Seigi. Japanese word for justice. The brush strokes are straight and true, just like Kazuma. Yes, his calligraphy always was a reflection of his heart. Yet can you really look at those characters without feeling shame, knowing who drew them so thoroughly? Of course I can. I mean, I'm innocent, so why shouldn't I be able to? Even though you stowed away on this ship? Now you're going to bring that up, are you? I can't win. How about this picture? Nothing. What about this sword? That's Kazuma-sama's precious sword. He never went anywhere without it. Yes, he was always saying that the Japanese man's katana is his soul. I believe he had to work very hard to convince the government to allow him to bring it on this trip. I suppose that just shows how important it was to him. And now he's gone, but I'm ready to let his spirit go. Not ready to let his spirit go just yet. Dot, 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 dot. How about here? Nothing. How about here? When I went for help and the crewman forced the door opened, this bolt had been firmly closed. It's quite a small bolt and not particularly sturdy. It just slides across to secure the door shut. But still, with the door bolted, there would be no way to get in or out of the cabin, that's for sure. No one was in the vendor was not in the room. It's no wonder everyone suspects me. When she glanced at me like that, I feel tense all up and down my spine. I remember reading once in a detective novel, the culprit used a needle and a thread to draw a bolt across the outside of the room in a situation like this. Yes, that's a clever trick, isn't it? I'm an avid reader of detective stories myself. But the door of this cabin and its frame are made of metal and they seal together perfectly. There will be no possibility of using the needle and thread trick here, I'm afraid. When she glares at me like that, I feel pins and needles all up down my spine. All right, I think that means we have investigated everything. So this is a good time to stop. Yeah, Yep, it's that time again. And thanks for watching. And we'll find out what's gonna happen next. Probably investigating more stuff. And yeah, thanks for watching. If I hope you enjoyed all that has been going through. All that spiel of Sherlock Holmes. I hate that. I hate the character so much. It's the opposite of Kazuma. But anyways, I still enjoy the game. Looking forward to what's come next. So thank you for watching again, and take care. Stay hopeful, but be critical. Bye bye.